Hey guys, Cameron here with Emerson House Buyers. Every week I bring tools, tactics, strategies, answer questions that you might have about real estate. I've built up a sizable real estate portfolio of my own in a little under 2 years, and I'm just sharing tools and, like I said, tactics, things I've learned, things that I would do again and would not do again, and just to help you shorten your learning curve, get back to the real estate community a little bit. This week, we got a question regarding closing costs. So what I think, it's kind of a long question with a few bits and pieces in here and different questions, but it's essentially asking, do you make the seller pay for the title policy as well as typical closing costs, all the fees here and there? Do you tell them this up front? Because when they get into their head that they're getting a cash offer for $100,000, they directly think that it's the exact amount they'll get in their pocket at the end of the transaction. So what I think you're asking is, how do you make sure that when you come to the end of the deal that they're not pissed off that they are not getting the same number that you agreed to in the beginning? So if you make a $100,000 cash offer and they end up seeing on the HUD that it's 94,000 or 96,000 something, that they're not pissed off. And what do I do? So I'll answer those two separately, two separate pieces. First, what do I do? So I always, well, maybe I should answer that backwards. How do you make them not? Let's answer that first. So how do you make them not pissed off? So you always want to be forthcoming with these with anybody. I mean, you want to be honest in what you're doing. So with these sellers, you come in and say, "Here's my cash offer." And they'll ask you, is that after everything? Because otherwise they just put it on the market with a realtor and pay the 6% commissions and all the fees and no big deal. It's a benefit. And you typically, your first cash offer, they're going to go, "Oh, Moses." And if they don't, it's too high. But you'll say, "But remember, you don't pay any closing cost, commissions, or fees." That's how I always say it. So this is what you're going to get, minus taxes and HOA. So any prorated taxes, some of the HOAs, if they have those behind, or any liens they have, those bits that they haven't paid, that's the only thing they'll have to pay out of it. So depending upon whether they've escrowed their taxes for the year or not, they'll have to come and pay those. So we don't pay any taxes if they're behind. Obviously, if you're going in the deal knowing they got a $10,000 tax lien, then it's a little bit different situation. But if you're just going in, I always say we don't pay any any liens or any of that things of that nature. That's going to come out of your money. So taxes, prorated taxes, depend upon whether you escrow them or not, are going to come out. Liens, HOA, depend upon whether you paid those or not already. So typically, okay, no big deal, because it's fair. You just tell them, "Hey, I haven't owned the property. I want you to pay for the taxes for what you've owned the property up until this day, and then from that date going forward, I'm going to pay for all the taxes and insurance and HOAs." And they can understand that. If they can't, you're gonna have a tough time with this one. And you need to make them understand. You need to educate them. They don't do this every day. You buy more houses. Hopefully, most of you will buy more houses in a year than they do in their whole lifetime. So that's number one. You want to be honest up front with them and explain. If you don't know, start reading. Go through a couple contracts. Go take an investor out and ask you to see one of their HUD statements and look at all the fees and the closing costs. Second piece of this question is, what do I do? So what do? I make sure, just like I mentioned before, that I am upfront and honest with them. And I tell them, we are going to give you this price, and go through and make sure that they fully and clearly understand. It's laid out in fine print underneath the special provisions that we don't pay any liens, and that you just have to explain to them that the taxes from the time we own the property, we're going to pay all this stuff. Everything that's due before we close is still your responsibility, and we expect everybody. You say, that's reasonable, right? Yeah, it's reasonable. You can reason with that, can't you, sir or ma'am? Yeah, I can reason with that. And usually you're talking about peanuts. Maybe a few $1,000 here or there, but to them it might not be peanuts. So just be cognizant of, explain to them clearly up front, and use it as a negotiating tactic. The way I do it is not the way everybody's going to do it, and it's not the right way. You know, if they come in and they counter 5,000, they want 5,000 higher, you could say, okay, hey, I'll give you 2,500 higher, but can you pay the title policy? Can you pay, you know, some of these doc fees, some of the closing costs with me? Can you help me out there? Can you give me some money towards closing? Use that as a negotiating tactic. I always start with a cash offer with we pay everything, do everything. Some people don't do that. Some people say, here's a cash offer. Oh, you oh, you want us to pay for all the closing costs and stuff? Well, then we got to come down a little bit. Or, okay, now we can do that and pay all the closing costs. Just use it as a negotiating tactic. I mean, however you guys want to use it. I don't do it that way. We make an offer, and we try not to negotiate much out of that offer. We try to make our highest and best offer, especially in a competitive market, because somebody will come in and swoop it out from underneath you. So, I think, I'm looking at this question again, I think I answered all the bits and pieces of this question. So how, to summarize, how do you make sure they're not pissed off at closing? Be clear and transparent. When they see the HUD and they're freaking out because it's not 100,000, it's 98,000 something. Be clear and transparent, let them know what's going on, and don't try to hide it. That's the only thing I can say. If you're clear and transparent and just bring it to them up front, typically it's not a big deal. How do we do it? Again, we mention it right up front. It's in the contracts, in the special provisions. We do not pay any taxes, prorated taxes, or liens, and they're fine with it. I've never had anybody say, oh, no, we're not going to do that. Never. Not had one person mention that. So the other big piece is it really depends on your presentation, how you guys want to do it. Are you going to, what's going to be your sales pitch or your presentation? Is it used as a negotiating tactic? That's, I guess, your big question. If it is, then you might want to make your first offer without paying all the title policy and what have you. I want to show you guys a deal. Well, I can't show you, but I can look at the numbers on this deal. This was $176,000 loan that we got from a private individual, and it looks like the fees added up. I'm not going to include the points, but the HOA, or excuse me, the title policy was about $1,500. All the fees look to be about $800, and more fees of $200. Survey was $400 to $500, so you got to be cognizant of that. HOA dues were, that's going to vary. That was $500 and some. HOA transfer fee, that was $200, and then we got some money back on the prorated taxes and what have you. So just be cognizant of these fees, guys, and how you want to approach them. Again, I've got another video about how to estimate some of those closing costs, and some of these you can put on the HUD if you want to pay the insurance at closing or pay it ahead of time. It's really up to you. It depends on what you want to do. That really, I think, is going to answer those questions, guys. If this was valuable, share it with somebody. If it wasn't, or you want to, if it was valuable, share it with somebody. If it wasn't, please give me some advice and feedback. Let me know how better I can serve you guys. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you guys. So please let me know what's working, what's not, and continue to give back and help you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.